everyone, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Emma, and if you're not new here, it is finally time for me to do a bookshelf slash library room tour. If you've been watching me since the beginning, or even way before that over on my TikTok page, I have had a lot of different library setups. When my reading journey started sophomore year of college, I didn't technically have bookshelves, so I was sticking books basically anywhere that they could fit. And the one bookshelf I did have in that college apartment is still with me in this library today. Then throughout the rest of college, my library collection started to grow and I actually purchased some bookshelves, and my college bedroom slowly started becoming a library of its own. Then my husband and I moved in together at our first apartment, and I officially had a library room very similar to this one, but not quite as vast of a setup. And then we moved back in the summer into this apartment where I still have my library room slash office, and this is the library of my dreams. I'm so thankful to my friends and family members that helped us set all of this up. For example, this wallpaper behind me, my mom and one of my best friends, Izzy, helped me get this wallpaper on the wall, and these floating shelves hanging behind me, my wonderful father-in-law hung for me, and it was quite the process, but the room came together and I'm obsessed with it, and I just feel like a full tour is long overdue, so let's jump into it. We're gonna start over here with these center shelves because this is by far my favorite part of the entire room. I have my cozy little reading nook, and all of the books on the floating shelves above me are essentially just my favorites out of all the ones I own. Over here we have all of my Emily Henry books. Not only am I obsessed with her romance books, but I love the colors of them, and I think they look so pretty being featured right here on the first shelf. Next to it I have a wax warmer that doubles as a lamp, and I just love the little placement in the corner. It brings so much light to this bookshelf. And then another little succulent to decorate. Moving over here to the center of the bottom shelf, we have none other than the series that got me back into reading, and that is the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Like I said, this is what got me back into reading and kind of kick-started my reading journey as an adult. And they were also the first books I purchased physical copies of after I got back into reading, so they've been with me longer than most of the books in the room. On either side of the books, I have the cutest little plant, and then on this side, I have a Valaris candle. I have owned this for quite a while too, and it smells amazing, so I don't burn it often because I don't want to run out of the scent. I did get it from an Etsy seller, so if I can find the name of that seller, I will link it in the description below for you guys to check out. And then directly next to it, I have my special edition of A Court of Thorns and Roses. My husband got this for me for our first wedding anniversary, and I think it is stunning. Over on this side, I have the Magnolia Park series by Jessa Hastings, along with a little candle propping them up, and I cannot remember for the life of me where I got this candle, but it has my birth date on it and something about my zodiac. I believe I got sent it in PR, so again, if I can find the name of the company, I'll put it up here somewhere or link it below. I know they have a bunch of different birthday themed candles. Moving up to the shelf above that, I have this adorable little gold balloon dog and a candle. This candle is probably empty, but I love the colors on it, so I kept it to keep on the bookshelf. And those are right next to the Boys of Tommen series, which is up there contending for my favorite series of all time. It was definitely my favorite series I read in 2024, and I've reread a lot of them since. And this half of the shelf is taken up by the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas. I'm obsessed with these books. I actually own 2 different sets of the series. This is the box set of the new cover editions, along with a special edition Throne of Glass book and the cutest art print themed to the series. Again, I will link the name of the Etsy seller in the description below. Then over in the corner, we have another plant, another candle, and this adorable, I don't know if it's crocheting or needle pointing or exactly what you call it, but guys, my mom made this. I think it's so cute. It fits my vibe and my aesthetic so much, and the second she gifted it to me, I was like, this has to go on a very prominent shelf in my library. Then up on the top shelf, we have another art print themed to the ACOTAR books from that same Etsy seller I was just talking about, and I really wanted to put this print next to the actual books, but unfortunately the shelves were too close together and it wouldn't fit, so I stuck it up there on the top. Then on the very top, front and center, I know you can't see it in this frame, but I am about to show you guys a close-up, we have my massive collection of the Empyrean series. I own 4 different copies of Fourth Wing, 2 copies of Iron Flame, and 2 copies of Onyx Onyx Storm. Also on the very top, I have a figurine of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, which obviously is fitting because Fourth Wing is about dragons, but I'm also obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon. My dad gifted that to me for Christmas this year, and I just think it's so cute. I knew it had to go with these books. For my copies of Fourth Wing, my most prized possession probably in this entire library is my ARC copy paperback of Fourth Wing. I've talked about it a few times on my TikTok channel because I just think it's so cool that I own it. I was sent that by Red Tower Books, which is the publisher for Fourth Wing, as an early release copy, so there are not that many ARCs that exist in the world of this book, and then on top of it, it's a paperback, and if you've been in the book world for a while, you may remember that it was like impossible to get your hands on a paperback for Fourth Wing because they waited forever to release the paperback version, and then once it was out, it was selling out everywhere. So I feel very honored to be one of the few to own this specific copy and paperback of Fourth Wing. Directly next to that is the official paperback release of Fourth Wing. Then next to that is the original hardcover release of Fourth Wing, and directly next to that is the special edition hardback of Fourth Wing. Then we have my 2 copies of Iron Flame. They are the exact same version, exact same copy. I just pre-ordered one from Amazon and it was getting delayed. I ended up going to a release party for it, so I ended up with 2 copies and decided to keep them, and I have one flipped around to display the sprayed edges. And then similar thing for my 2 copies of Onyx Storm, I have one flipped around to display the sprayed edges. Continuing on, I have the Crescent City series by Sarah J Maas along with another art print themed to that series, and my favorite thing about these art prints is even though they're all associated with different series, the theme and just like overall style of the art prints are so cohesive with one another, and again, I'm just obsessed, and the seller will be linked in the description. Continuing on the top shelf in that direction, I have all of my special editions of classics, and I don't read a lot of classics. I have been challenging myself to read more, but what I've decided to do is when I complete a classic, I want to purchase a special edition of it so I can display it, and I don't know, something about a special edition of a classic just feels right, and I'm obsessed with all of them. They're so pretty. The first one we have up there is Emma. I was gifted that by my husband's family, I think for my birthday one year, and obviously so fitting because that's literally my name, but I did read that book and I really enjoyed it. Then we have my special edition of Little Women. This might be my favorite special edition I own just because I love the pink with the gold foiling and the gold sprayed edges. It's just so pretty to look at. Then we have Pride and Prejudice followed by Wicked, and it's kind of hard to tell from how high up this book is, but the sprayed edges of the book Wicked are green, which I just think is so perfect and fitting. Then rounding the corner from that, we have my newest purchase in my special editions collection, and that is Wuthering Heights. I purchased this and want to read it because I know there's a movie adaptation of it coming out soon. And then behind that, I just have this giant hourglass. I actually purchased this because it reminded me of the Time Turner from Harry Potter. Speaking of Harry Potter, I'm gonna jump back over to this side of the bookshelves and talk about my massive Harry Potter collection. For starters, we do have the actual Harry Potter series. These are the original books, and I've owned them since I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. However, since I've owned them so long, they are very, very well loved, and the original dust jackets had seen better days, so I purchased these new ones from, I think it's called Nerdy Ink. I will link that below as well if anyone's interested. They have a lot of cool alternative dust jackets for various popular series. The bookends holding the series up is actually the Hogwarts Express, which I think is so adorable. My parents gifted that to me for Christmas a couple years back, and no better place to put it than to hold up the series it's associated with. Then I have my Mina Lima pop-up editions of the first 4 Harry Potter books featured. These make me very nervous that they're gonna fall because I literally don't have anything holding them up, but they are quite thick books, so I'm just hoping and praying that they stay up and don't fall off the shelf. And the Harry Potter collection doesn't stop there. It actually continues on to the top of this bookcase. I have my illustrated editions of the first, well, there's only 4 books here, but I own the first 5, so one of them is missing, and I'm not sure where it is, but we do have my illustrated editions here, along with a cute little chocolate frog trinket and these really cool Harry Potter playing cards. This was also a gift from my parents, and I'll probably never actually play with them because they're so pretty and I don't want to mess them up, but very cool to own and feature on the bookshelf. Then we have a stack of some of the Harry Potter vault books, and these have seen better days because they used to be on a lower shelf, and my dog found them, as you can see by the corners here. Right on top of that is my mini Mirror of Erised. I've actually owned this since high school still obsessed with it, and this came from Target, you guys, so amazing Target find there. And then some more little trinkets. We have the Felix Felicis and this adorable little love potion. And then over here we have some more miscellaneous vault books, special editions, that type of thing, some of which I have owned since I was a child, a cute little golden snitch, a Christmas themed Harry Potter book, as well as my copy of The Cursed Child. And then above the shelf, this is a recent addition to the library. I have displayed all of my wands. My amazing husband hung these hooks for me so that they could be out on display and I could look at them instead of keeping them in the boxes. While I'm over here, I'm gonna go ahead and start walking through the romance portion of my library. I basically have the library sectioned off in romance over here, and then fantasy, romance, sci-fi, thriller, and others over there. And honestly, the romance part of the library might be my favorite to look at, just because a lot of these books have such pretty colors, and I don't know, this is the bright side of the library and it makes me happy. Up in this corner is all of my YA contemporary romances. I don't have very many of them, but I'm hoping this collection will grow. Directly next to it in this little cubby is some miscellaneous contemporary romances. Most of these I have read already, and I honestly couldn't tell you why I decided to group these together, but they're here. And then this log cabin candle from Homesick, I actually got sent this in a PR package that came from Colleen Hoover, so that's super cool. And then this cubby is some assorted sports romances. Down here we have my very small collection of holiday romances. There's only 3. I've actually read a lot more, or I guess I should say listened to a lot more holiday romances. If you all didn't see, back in December I had a whole video of basically me just reading holiday themed books right before the holiday season. I listened to all of them on Audible, binge read them, and I plan to purchase the books only to then find out they are Audible and Kindle exclusives only, and a physical version does not exist. So my heart was a little bit broken about that. Then this section is all dark romances. I have the Raven Hood trilogy, Haunting and Hunting Adeline, and Butcher and Blackbird, which I recently just read, as well as Drive, which I haven't got to yet, but am really looking forward to reading. Then some more miscellaneous romance that I have not read yet, along with yet again another candle that's pretty much empty, but it's so pretty that I couldn't throw it away, and I'm decorating my bookshelf with it. And then below that, we have all of my Colleen Hoover books. There's so many of them that they take up 2 of these little cubbies. And when I say all of my Colleen Hoover books, I literally mean all. Like, this is pretty much every single book she's ever written, minus a few, and then her thriller ones I have on a different shelf. And actually one of my copies of It Ends With Us is signed by Colleen Hoover, which is super cool. Continuing on with the romance and moving over to this tall bookshelf, on the top we have all of my LC Silver books, the Chestnut Springs series, which I have completed, and the Rose Hill series, which I have not started yet but really hope to get to this year. The cute sprinkled birthday candle was actually gifted to me by some teammates of mine when I was in college, and then how fitting that I already happen to have a little print of some cowboy boots and this little matchstick holder that's shaped like a cowboy boot. I could not think of a more perfect place to display these things than with my cowboy romances. On the shelf below that, I have my stunning special editions of the Knock 'Em Out trilogy by Lucy Score. I was sent these by the publisher and am so grateful because these are maybe some of the prettiest books I've ever looked at in my life, so I obviously had to display them. And then directly next to that, I have my original paperback copy of that same trilogy with the cutest little coffee mug jelly cat right on top. Below that, I have my Abby Jimenez collection, and these books have come from so many different places. Some of them I've gotten in Book of the Month, some I've pre-ordered, some I've thrifted from Goodwill, but I absolutely love and adore Abby Jimenez, so I had to feature her books in a prominent place where I could stare at them all day. And then next to it, I have my Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman with this little Polaroid camera on top. I think that Polaroid camera actually works. I just ran out of film and I thought it would be cute to stick it right there. On the shelf below that, we have the Lancaster Prep and Lancaster Prep Next Gen series. I only own some of the books, but I recently started the series, so this section is definitely going to be growing. A cute little trinket bowl to hold those up, and then what I have so far of the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. I'm actually making it a goal to try and start Mile High this month. Below that is an assortment of some of my favorite standalone contemporary romances. All of these I have already read and just wanted to feature them in a separate section because they are my favorites. I have a little Lego that's actually a drawer, and I like to keep all of my bookmarks in there when I'm not using them. And then just another cute art print that I've owned for a while and thought looked pretty on the shelves. On the very bottom shelf, we have the Indigo Ridge series. I actually think there's another name for that series, but I forget what it's called. I have not read any of these yet, but I've heard amazing things and really want to get to them soon. Then we have the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I've read all of those, and I believe I heard those are actually getting adapted into movies or a TV show maybe. And then we have the first book in the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series. I am planning to continue that series and one day finish it, so hopefully that section of the shelf will grow as well. Moving over to the fantasy section of the library, this is a huge section because this is arguably my favorite genre and I own a lot of them. We have another big tall bookcase, and up on top I have the Shatter Me series as well as the spin-off. I actually first read part of that series back in high school and loved it. It was one of the very few things I did read in high school, and then when I got back into reading I decided to reread it and became even more obsessed with it. And then also on that top shelf is the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts along with the 2 accompanying novellas, and I have this really pretty purple skull candle set right on top. I think it just looks perfect there. I just love this little nook on the bookshelf. Moving to the shelf below, we have the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy along with the first 2 books in the spin-off. I do believe there's another one coming out this year, so hopefully this part of the bookshelf will be growing. We have the Heartless Hunter duology along with the Divine Rivals duology, and I actually own 2 copies of Ruthless Vows. One I pre-ordered and that's the version that came in, and the other is like the Barnes & Noble special edition. And then directly next to that is the Prison Healer trilogy. Moving to this shelf, we have all of my Carissa Broadbent books. So the Mother of No Worlds, I believe is the name of the series, and also the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I don't own the newest release in this yet, so I'm hoping to get it soon. Then we have the first 2 books in the Lightlark series. I originally was planning on completing that when I thought it was only a trilogy, but now I'm pretty sure there's gonna be like 5+ books, and I don't know that I'm that invested in it to continue with that long of a series, but I don't know, we'll see. And then next to that is the These Hollow Vows duology. Moving on down, we have my other copy of the entire Throne of Glass series. These are the original ones I owned and the original covers, but obviously when the new covers came out, I had to have those as well. I also have another copy of A Court of Silver Flames here. For the longest time, this was the only version I owned, and then when I purchased the paperback version, I stuck that one up with the series, and I just keep this one down here. And then we also have the 2 books that are out so far in the Quicksilver series. I recently read these and really loved them. Over here, I have another little character themed candle, and it's actually themed to Crescent City, so it would make sense for it to be up with the Crescent City books. However, because I have those books up so high, if I put this candle up there, I would basically never see it, so I'd rather keep it in a place where it can be seen. And then this little hanging clock I have owned for so long. If you knew me in college, my room design was very whimsical and funky, and this clock was a staple piece in that design, but I love it so much. It actually used to be in our living room at our old apartment, but when we moved here, I decided to put it on the bookshelf, and I'm just obsessed with it. I think I'll own that thing forever. Moving down, we have the From Blood and Ash series. I am also missing some books from this series, but I don't believe I'll be continuing with it. I basically binge read this series early on in my reading journey and obviously had to stop with whatever the most recent release was at that time, and since then I just haven't really felt the urge to dive back into it, but I still do really love this series. And then on top of it, I have a tiara. I thought that was very fitting for the whole fantasy vibe of everything, but it's funny because that tiara is actually something I won at a dance competition. I have a lot of others that I probably could use to decorate the fantasy shelves, but they're at home with my parents at their house. I don't know how I ended up with this one here. Then I have the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. I absolutely love and adore this series. It's underrated. It does not get talked about enough. Then next to that, I have Phantasma and Enchantra, which I'm hoping to get to this year, as well as City of Gods and Monsters, which I am actually in the middle of reading right now. On the very bottom shelf, I have the first 2 books in the Jade City trilogy. I have read the first one, don't know that I'll be continuing on with it. Then I have the Poppy War trilogy, which I'm hoping to get to this year. And then I have the A Touch of Darkness series. Read these very early on in my reading journey and ate up every second of them. Moving over to this tall corner shelf, this is, for the most part, a lot of my YA fantasies and fantasy romances. On the very top, we have the Grishaverse, so the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. Below that is the Folk of Air, so the original Cruel Prince trilogy, as well as the 2 spin-offs. And I have this little skull sitting on top. It's actually a coffee mug, but I think it works better as a bookshelf decoration than it does as a mug. Under that is the Caraval trilogy and the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. Moving below that, I have the Dance of Thieves duology, the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and the One Dark Window duology. Under that, I have the Bridge Kingdom series, and also, I really don't know the official name for this other series, but the first book is called An Ember in the Ashes, so we'll just call it the Ember in the Ashes series. I have owned this entire trilogy for a while and never have read it, but I feel like I would really like it, so someone convince me in the comments to read that. Then on the bottom, we just have some miscellaneous fantasy or fantasy romance that I've already read and didn't seem to fit anywhere else on the shelves, so I've grouped them all together. Taking you guys over to this part of the room, I've had to close the blinds because the backlighting was so horrendous, but now my lighting is still horrendous and everything has like a yellowish tint in here, but I promise we'll be back to good lighting in a little bit. These shelves over here are mostly sci-fi, dystopian, and mystery thriller, but there is some fantasy over here still as well. Up in this corner, I have my Red Rising series by Pierce Brown. I only have up to Dark Age. I don't own Lightbringer yet. And then I have this adorable little Groot plushie. I've owned him forever, and I just stuck him there because I didn't have anywhere else to put him. Below that, I have all the books in the world of the Hunger Games, and directly below that, we have some more sci-fi dystopian mixed books, the Silo trilogy, which I actually read because my dad recommended it to me. Then some other standalones that are sci-fi dystopian-esque. Below that, I have the Scythe trilogy, as well as the first book in the Renegades series trilogy. I'm not even really sure how many of those there are. Kind of forgot that I owned that book, but it's over here because, again, all sci-fi dystopian type vibes. And then below that, we have the OGs. If you know, you know, The Maze Runner and Divergent. I've owned these books for so long and was absolutely obsessed with them in middle school, so of course they still have to be in my library today. Moving over, I do have 4 little cubbies of continued fantasy, and these are all fantasies that I have yet to get to. Some of these are art copies that publishers and authors were kind enough to send to me. Some are just ones I picked up in the bookstore on a whim and haven't gotten around to reading yet, so I've just grouped them all together so it's really easy to find the fantasies that I have yet to read. And then back up on this part of the shelf, we have all of my Jennifer Lynn Barnes books, so The Inheritance Games and The Naturals. Then we have some more mystery thriller with the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, another book by Holly Jackson, and all of Colleen Hoover's thrillers. And below that, the thriller continues. These are for the most part adult thrillers, I believe. We've got some Frida McFadden, some Alice Feeney, and a whole mix of other stuff. Rounding that corner here, back to some decent lighting, not on me, but at least you can see the shelves a little bit better. We have all of my memoirs, and I'm hoping this will grow because I want to read more memoirs. Every time I do read one, I always love it, and I just don't pick them up enough. Then we have some miscellaneous general fiction and historical fiction, along with a few classics. Directly below that, some more general and historical fiction. It's mainly Kristen Hanna, and then below that is some more general fiction that I have been sent by authors or publishers. I also have a lot of room to grow in this area because I'm actually sitting on a bookshelf that is being used as a bench. I would really like to get a cushion for this, but I do have several empty cubbies, which is great because I can expand my library without having to purchase more shelves. I also thought it would be fun to show that directly above this window, both my husband's college baseball jersey and my college dance team uniform top are hung in their shadow boxes. I love how these look together. Over in this little corner on this bookshelf, this is mainly just my nonfiction. I have it color coordinated for the most part, and then I have some games that look like books along with my high school yearbook and my 21st birthday book. And I'm hoping this section will grow because I want to challenge myself to read more nonfiction. Last but not least, opposite side of the room from where we just were, this is my tree bookshelf. I've had this so long. If you watched me in my OG TikTok book talk days, this is the one I would always film in front of, so it had to come with me to this library. And this is really just my book of the month books. It's not all of them because some of them I have stuck other places on the shelves, but for the most part, this is ones that I still need to read. A few of them I have already gotten to, but the rest, like pretty much all of them, are ones that I still need to read, so I definitely don't do the best job at staying up to date on my book of the month books, but I love getting them, and I'm always so excited about the selections each month, so I like having them all together so I can easily find them and read them, which I, again, need to do. But also there's a lot of room to grow on this bookshelf, so having this designated to book of the month is super fun to me because I can look in a year from now and see how much it's grown and how much more it's filled up. I don't have much rhyme or reason to how this shelf is organized other than by genre, or at least I think I tried to do it by genre. Then hanging directly above it, I have this really cool wooden art print of different magical objects from the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Fun story behind this. This actually belonged to one of my best friends, Katie. I think she had it hanging in her high school bedroom at one point, and then the day before my wedding, she gifted this to me, which was just awesome because I was always so envious of this being in her room, and I could never find one for myself, so Now I own it. Shout out to Katie if you're watching this. And that is it for the bookshelf tour. Like I said, this room is my pride and joy, and being in this room makes me so happy, and I'm very pleased with the way it came together. It's exactly how I pictured it would be. And even though this video was long overdue, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, I will have my Instagram, TikTok, and Goodreads linked in the description below if you'd be interested in following me over on those other platforms and checking out my content, or if you want to see another video right now, you can head over to this channel and see what I have posted currently. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because there will be tons of more videos coming in the future. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much for watching, and that's all for now. Bye guys!